In this video, you will learn how to simplify expressions using the distributive property. You can think of the distributive property almost like a newspaper subscription. If someone is out delivering the newspapers, they're only going to deliver to people who have a subscription, not the people who don't have a subscription. The distributive property is kind of like this because the newspaper here is going to get distributed to the two houses inside the parentheses, but not any of the houses outside the parentheses. Something important to remember about the distributive property is to make sure you distribute to every term inside the parentheses. Also, you'll want to make sure you distribute the negative. You'll see some examples of that in a little bit. Example 1, 9 times the quantity of A plus B. The 9 is going to be distributed to the A and the B that are both inside the parentheses by multiplication. So 9 times A is 9A, and 9 times B is 9B. We'll rewrite it like this: 9A plus 9B. These two expressions are equivalent. 9 times the quantity of A plus B is equivalent to 9A plus 9B. That means that the two expressions are equal to one another. Example number 2, x times the quantity of 2x minus 5. So this time we're distributing a variable, x, to the two terms inside the parentheses. I know this looks a little complicated, but this equals 2x squared minus 5x. That's because if you multiply x times x, it equals x squared. So 2x times x equals 2x squared. Then when we multiply x times 5, it's 5x. So x times the quantity of 2x minus 5 equals 2x squared minus 5x. Example number 3, negative 3 times the quantity of 2x minus 5. At first glance, it looks like we're going to be just distributing the 3 to the numbers inside. 3 to the 2x and 3 to the negative 5. But remember how we said we're supposed to distribute the negative along with the number? So if the number outside the parentheses that you're distributing is negative, you need to include that negative when you multiply. Negative 3 times 2x and negative 3 times negative 5. You have to remember your multiplication rules. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And then negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. These two expressions are equivalent. Negative 3 times the quantity of 2x minus 5 is equivalent to negative 6x plus 15. Now we're going to look at something called factoring. Factoring is just the opposite of distributing. So instead of distributing the newspaper to the houses, we're going to be finding what's common about the two houses and dividing them. So in this case, I guess the houses got divided by the newspaper, so we took out the newspaper. I don't know if this example really works for this. But anyway, let's look at an example. So example number 4 is 5f plus 35. What we need to do is look for something that is similar or a common factor for both of these terms. So 5f and 35, both are divisible by 5. So we start by writing the 5 on the outside of the parentheses. Then we have to think about what was multiplied by the 5 to get 5f, or we divide 5f by 5. Well, it would be 1f. And then when we divide the 35 by 5, we would get 7. These two expressions are equivalent to one another. 5f plus 35 is equal to 5 times the quantity of f plus 7. You might have noticed it's actually kind of like when you simplify a fraction, or when you simplify two fractions that you're multiplying when you cross cancel. It's very similar. Let's look at our final example, example number 5. Negative 8x plus 10. What can we divide both of these numbers by? I do notice that they're both even, so that probably means we can divide them both by 2. But I really want my first term to be positive. So I kind of want to factor out a negative 2. Let's see what happens if we divide both these terms by negative 2. So we start by writing -2 outside the parentheses. Now let's do -8x divided by -2. Well, I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So -8x divided by -2 is 4x. Now we need to divide 10 by -2. We have a positive divided by a negative, so it's going to be negative, which means we'll write minus. And then since 10 divided by 2 is 5, it's going to be -5. And now we have factored the expression -8x plus 10. It's not in its simplest form anymore. It was in its simplest form. We just factored it. Sometimes there's reasons for you to do that, and sometimes you don't need to. But it's good to know how to do it. Now you should know how to simplify expressions by using the distributive property. Thank you for watching.